Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Our V.I.P featured guest is the CEO and co-founder of MyCoachMD. She has spent 20 years of her career working in the field of medical aesthetics as a sales and operations leader. She is the author of the best-selling book, Blue Collar Beauty: Confessions of a Plastic Surgery Coach. In 2021, she founded Ask Us Beauty. It's a quarterly digital and print magazine with content designed to educate, empower, and inspire individuals on all things beauty and wellness. Silhouettes, let's welcome Michelle Emmick to the show. Hello, Michelle.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you. It is so fabulous to be with you as you share your silhouette of success story. So thank you once again.
Absolutely.
All right, let's start. Typically, I like to have the silhouette start with sharing a little bit about your background because it helps us to form a better understanding and get to know you in the shaping of your silhouette of success. So share a little bit about your background with our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I had spent 20 years of my career in the aesthetic space as a sales and operations leader. So I had the opportunity to travel the country opening up plastic surgery offices. I worked with a lot of doctors when they were right out of residency. So this was, early, late 90s, early 2000s, which has been fun to watch their careers over the years. But I had an opportunity to work with thousands of patients and women that were looking to make a change for themselves, looking to, look and feel their best. And it was such an incredible learning experience from the medical side, learning that piece of it, to also really the coaching side, whether it was through working individually with the employees, but my favorite part, which was working with the patients and really understanding their needs and goals and how to offer a great patient experience. So yeah, I did that for 20 years. And what led me to the magazine was seeing so much disconnect between what the messaging was in terms of aesthetically, what the picture of what women would look like, whether it was on the cover of a website or, the ads running on TV, and then the women I would meet with. And I said, this is interesting because they don't look anything alike. The women I'm meeting with are wanting to look and feel their best, but they're not walking around looking like a Victoria's Secret model. So I said, we really need to change the narrative. We need to be able to showcase beauty, all shapes and sizes, and really create, inclusivity and diversity. And so that's something that I was very passionate about. And the other side was how much misinformation was out there, whether it's through social media, which really expanded the disinformation. So we wanted to create a platform that would educate and empower women to have a great experience, whether it was an aesthetic procedure or, going to the eye doctor. It doesn't matter what it is, but really educate and empower, and also showcase women of all different backgrounds and showcase that beauty and really trying to change and drive the narrative, which is where the magazine came from.
What a refreshing alternative.
Thank you.
Right to what we have just been exposed to and bombarded with. And it's interesting, they call it social media, but sometimes, like you talked about, with the misinformation, it's so easy to get lost in that.
100%. And we've
Yeah.
all done it. I've shared a
Right.
story before. where it's always kind of funny to me because I was with my niece who's 16. We were on a trip and we went into one of the stores and she found this, charcoal toothpaste. And she's like, "Oh, have you seen that TikTok?" And I said, "Oh yeah, it's supposed to whiten your teeth." Well, we ended up buying it, using it. And then I interviewed a very well-renowned celebrity dentist out of New York. And she said, "That's the worst stuff you could use for your teeth. It ruins the enamel." And I laughed because it was the exact reason why we've started our platform because, we're like, we didn't know. We got caught up in someone doing a TikTok and pushing a product that we knew nothing about, but because millions of people had watched it and it, the before and after looked great, so we all get caught up in it, even people that, kind of pride ourselves on not, but it happened.
It does happen. It does happen. I have a dear friend of mine, and she's in a whole different spectrum of, misinformation. Her niche is very different. But she says to me, the more ink on the product, the worse it is for you, right? It's
Yeah.
just such a sales job. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we'll dive more into that too, with what you're doing. So talk to us because clearly it was a couple sentences in the intro about everything that you've got going on. And as women, we look and we think, okay, we all have the same amount of hours on the clock.
Hmm.
How do you do it? What does a day in the life look like for you? Your workday begins. Are you structured with routine or are you more spontaneous? Talk to us a little bit about that.
No, that's a great question. Well, first and foremost, I'm a mom, so I have a 10-year-old. So it's really starting my day, making sure that she starts her day off in a good place. So kind of getting her up, and then I carve out an hour for myself for exercise because that's something that's important to me. It makes me feel good, and then once I'm done, I sit right down at my desk, and I am a list maker, so I've done that my whole life. I make a list of all the items I have to do and keeping track of my calendar, and I usually work until it's time for school pickup, and then I shut everything down. I made a decision early on that I would carve out 1 hour from the time. So I'm always on the phone all the way up until I see my daughter in car line, and then I'm off the phone. Anybody who I'm talking to knows that it's like, oh, shut it down. And so I shut that down and I give 1 hour to make sure that I have time to ask her how her day was and kind of get her home and settled. And then I usually hop right back into work, and it just depends. We have one of our team members is based in Australia, so like last night I was on the phone till about 10 o'clock. But I probably work sometimes 10, 12 hours a day. So I do put a lot a lot of hours in, sometimes more. It just depends. But the nice thing is of being an entrepreneur and owning your own business, you do have the flexibility. If I want to just say, hey, I'm taking Friday off, I'll block that on my calendar.
So, Michelle, what a great actual, I guess, expectation that you set those expectations to anyone you're talking with and you make that conscious effort to be present for her in that hour.
Yeah, I felt like it was something, it's always self reflection, right? There was a period of time that I remember years ago when I had taken a job. When I became a mom, I stepped back and, I really kind of structured my schedule as best I could. But I remember taking a job that was with a corporate, it was a corporate position. And I would get home and I remember I would like be on the phone. It would be like, hang on, honey, just a minute. And I
Mhm.
realized I was like, I don't want to do this. And I don't want to be this. This isn't the kind of mom I want to be. I want to be as hands-on as possible. And as long as I can afford the opportunity to do that, I want to take advantage of it. So it's really been a driving force in my life to be able to balance my time and put her as a priority.
Absolutely. And as a young girl and going to be a young woman soon, she sees that. And so that's amazing. And setting that example for her, whether we think they're paying attention or not,
Right.
they
Absolutely.
are.
Absolutely.
Oh, goodness. Can you think of, as you embarked on your career path, who most influenced you?
Uh,
Speaking of examples.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. My biggest influences in my life were my parents. My father was both my parents are retired school teachers. My father was a coach. I played sports my entire life. So I was really, I always say I was I was born with an optimistic personality. I was always like, you know, kind of had that mindset of work hard and keep improving one step in front of the other. And my mother, who came from a family of 8 children, none of them who graduated from high school except for her. And she went on to get her master's degree and was a special education teacher. And she waited tables while going to college while we were growing up. And so I just saw an incredible work ethic. And I also had 2 parents that had a very strong belief system in me and gave me the mindset that anything is possible with hard work and having that belief in yourself.
Wow, that's vital
Yes.
to instill that and to have someone, a mentor, somebody in our lives that shows us that. Speaking of all of those things that you have talked about and the things that you are accomplishing, we always want to touch on and allow you to just share your pride and what you've done in that work ethic and seeing all those examples with your successes, more of a tangible result. So you've got some wonderful milestones. Your MyCoachMD in
hmm
2018, Ask Us Beauty launch in 2021. Talk to us about both of those. How did you know it was time? How did you, share all of the goodness that you want to share with both of those projects? Because they're just so both phenomenal
Thank you
in
so
each
much.
other. Yes.
It's funny. I find this interesting. We launched My Coach MD before the pandemic, and I remember, we're small company, bootstrapped, but because we had a lot of industry contacts and we had made a good name for ourselves over the years, that we everything came to us really through referral. But I remember I remember a gentleman that was had invested in a lot of businesses said to me, wait a minute, you do virtual consultations? Like, that would never work. And that was before COVID. And, I always laugh. I said, I want to call him up and be like, hey, remember when you told me virtual consultations didn't work? Because when the industry shut down, I mean, nobody could have aesthetic procedures essentially. Everyone started doing Zoom meets. Those were all over the
Yes.
place. So, but I think we were really proud of being innovative and really seeing the vision of what was possible, because I worked for a lot of national chains, and usually you'd get maybe a 30 to 40% show rate of people that booked appointments. And so I was always fascinated by the other people that didn't show. They saw the commercial or they saw the ad, they picked up the phone, they were interested, but they never made it through the doors. Well, why was that? Well, that's usually because of fear, right? That's fear's the driver. So I wanted to capture those people. I wanted them to have someone that out of the comfort of their own home would be able to get their questions answered. And, we essentially would set them up and vet them for the doctor. I always say we weren't medical, that's not my background, but we would educate them with things to know before they go. So I was really proud of that business. I just do, like, once in a while, I'll do just more of a referral. It's kind of interesting since I've gotten into this magazine space. Sometimes some of the people I interview will pass along their celebrity friends because everything's so confidential. So I always say, I'm like, I do it on the side, just if someone has questions. I don't, because really 100% of my focus right now is on the magazine. And I think probably what I'm most proud of with the magazine is that I do not come from the magazine space, either myself or my business partners. But I love to tell stories. I love to network and connect. And I believe everyone has a story to share. And I also know that I have incredible work ethic. And so I took that and said, you know what? I may not be an industry insider, but I'm a good person and I'm putting good out in the world. So I'm gonna push through. And I've been able to connect with some of the most recognized faces in the world and establish relationships with them. And that means a lot to me. That, for example, our current cover with Carrie Ann Inaba, she said it was one of the best interviews she's ever done in her career. And things like that, it makes me very proud because I put a lot of work into, we don't outsource anything. We're really putting a lot of TLC into this platform. I say that our magazine has a heartbeat because we really work hard to provide rich quality content for our community and our readers. And it's something I'm extremely proud of.
Well, and a couple of things, I take all my notes here and I'm, bullet pointing them, but so enterprising of you. And I very much appreciate that you tell me no and I'm going to go for it.
Yes.
Right? Tell me no or tell me. It was just so forward thinking. As far as when you all were talking about the My Coach MD, but then going into the magazine space and how you were able to recognize, okay, well, I might be a novice or I don't have the background or the degree or the this or the that, but I have this, this, and this. And sometimes those supersede everything else.
I think so. I mean,
For success.
I
Yeah.
love that we don't have industry experience because
Right.
we're writing the rule book. I
Yeah.
don't want somebody to tell me this is the way it's done
No.
because that for who? For you? I mean, I'm
Right.
going to do it my way, and I don't believe there's, no one could tell me otherwise. I think that, and if we make mistakes, I'm okay with that too, because,
Yeah.
I do have a growth mindset. I do believe that we are always learning. And, you know, I think sometimes we get, innovation comes from, you don't want the same people doing the same things all the time, right?
Right.
That's
No.
insanity. we need
That is
dis-
the
it
definition.
is. It's the definition, right? So we need disruptors. And I like coming
Yeah.
in, and I like that we're doing things differently. We have, we don't do ads, we do partnerships, and we don't just put anyone in. You're not going to see a magazine with a bunch of, just static ads of things that nobody's reading or paying attention to. We really are very thoughtful with who we want to work with, and who we help promote. And again, we just, I think we're different than anybody else out there. And I'm super, super proud of it. And we're 16 months in, so we're just getting started.
I love it. Transformational. Something is happening here.
Yes.
Oh, and on that note too, Carrie, I tell you, I saw her in something else recently that was released, and a whole new. I think seeing her in a totally different lens than what I saw her previous. So I am so excited that you had that opportunity.
Yeah, it's been great. And it's been, so Josie Bassett was our first cover, who's, for anyone that doesn't know, I don't know how old your listeners
Yeah.
are, but she was the star of Melrose Place, and she's done a lot of Hallmark movies. She was a face of a lot of big brands back in the day, like Neutrogena and so forth. But she was our first cover, and she ended up coming on as a contributor. And then along with Ari Zucker from Days of Our Lives, she's been on there for 23 years. She's a contributor. We have Allie Landry, who's former Miss USA actress, host and model. She's one of our contributors, and we've got some new ones coming this year. But it's been so exciting that the interviews have turned into people wanting to be a part of the magazine and our mission of defining beauty on our own terms.
It's the highest compliment. Would you agree in words that you just can't articulate sometimes?
100%. I mean, it's, I know it means so much to me, and I know it does to my partners as well. But yeah, I mean, when someone says, yeah, I like this and I like you and I want to be a part of it. Yeah, it's like, and especially because, like I said, I always say we're not People Magazine yet.
Yeah.
My word, yet.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I know there's definitely, you're, I'm not trying to prove myself to anyone. I'm 49 years old. I've had a lot of success in my life, and I have health and happiness, friends, family, all those things. I just want to make an impact, and I want to be, you know, I want to enjoy what I'm doing and be passionate about it. And those are the things that matter to me. I'm not driven by, you know, some of the other things that maybe some other people, that big business has to be, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I can tell you from watching you and watching everything that's taking place and shaping to me, you're representing a movement, and your daughter's watching, and we're all watching. And
Thank
so, yay,
you.
keep it going.
Oh, thank you so much. That means so, really, it does. It means so
Yeah.
much. We appreciate everyone who's supporting us.
Yes. Well, keep it up. I'm here. I'm a partner.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
absolutely. So, talking through a couple more maybe nitty gritty details
Sure.
on the daily and in what you're doing. Do you get stuck? How do you get unstuck when you need motivation or to break down a seeming barrier that gets between you and maybe a goal or dream? Do you have any best practices to share with us?
I always just say, like, some people call it pivot or shift or like paradigm shift. I take myself out of the environment. So if I'm sitting at my desk and I'm at my computer and I've been there for hours, and maybe it's, email communication, and or maybe it's somebody that I'm, I get a lot of no's, by the way. I get a lot of no's, more no's than I get yeses, which I don't mind. So that's mentally, you have to be able to accept that. But I will completely push myself out of the environment. I'll be like, all right, you know what? I'm going to go outside. I'm going to take a walk, or you know what? I'm going to shut down for the rest of the day. I'm done. I'm not mentally here in the game, and I need to be at the highest level. So that's what I do. I just do a complete paradigm shift and change my environment.
Awesome. Yes, those no's come with the territory.
Oh, so many. I know. That's what I said. I'm like, this is not for the faint of heart here.
That's
You
right.
gotta be able to accept either that or the ghosting. I say that's
Yes.
actually more than the no. You just don't. But I take that as like I'm like, okay, they're
Not
not ready
yet.
for me yet. That's a not
It's
yet.
timing. That's right. That's the yet. Love that. Thank you. I wanted to make sure we touched on your book, and the
Yes.
title is called Blue Collar Beauty: Confessions of a Plastic Surgery Coach. Dive into the inspiration that led you to write that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That will always be my first love. Anyone
Yeah.
who's wrote a book, if you're listening, because it's such a cathartic process. You put so much into it. But for me, I just felt like I had such an incredible career working in this industry. I was my early 20s when I started. I knew nothing about plastic surgery. I really had no business, right? So I
Yeah.
came in, I started working, and I talk about that in the book. I had spent a few years of my career in the weight loss industry, and I knew how to help women transform. And so I took my experience and brought that over into plastic surgery, but really not having any background in it. But I learned and I studied and I got to know so many amazing doctors and people and staff that helped change people's life. I also saw the bad. I saw the good, bad, and ugly. I saw that it was, for a lot of corporations, for anyone, it is a business, So I think that's the side that wasn't told a lot, that somebody's got to pay for those pieces of equipment that are sitting in the offices and things like that.
Mhm.
So I wanted something that was fun and empowering, and I really wanted to share the message with the over 15,000 women I've coached in my career, meeting one on one with, that do anything you want for yourself, but do it for yourself and do it for the right reasons. And know that beauty starts from within. You really have to be solid in who you are before you're making that decision to do something. And once you do it, just make sure that you're educated and that you have a great experience, because that's what it's all about. There's so much misinformation out there, and why not take my knowledge and share it with the world? And so that someone could come back and say, wow, I knew I was set up for success. The patients love it, and the doctors love it. I had incredible feedback from doctors because they were like, thank you for giving people insight. It's very quick to see an ad and go, oh, this is the place I'm going to go get my Botox or whatever, and they don't really know that, hey, maybe that person just came out of, school and hasn't ever ejected before, or, whatever the case may be. You have to be educated. And so I wanted to do that. And I wanted to tell some fun stories. Like I said, I worked with a lot of doctors when they were right out of residency, or maybe some that have been practicing for years. And they didn't get a lot of soft skills when they were going to Harvard and Stanford, but I had them. So I was able to coach doctors. And those are fun stories that I share in there too. So it's got a little bit of everything. And I'm really proud of it. I would tell anyone it's a great read. go, go pick
Good
it
for
up.
you. Be your own advocate. I love it.
Absolutely.
As that independent business owner, coach, and speaker, and magazine publisher, where do you turn to for support?
That's a great question. I have so many people surrounding me and I guess I'm always searching and seeking. Like I read a lot of books. I actually watch a lot of speakers, video content, and TED Talks. I love all of
Mhm.
those. But I probably would still say, my support system is my family. I have an incredible family. My husband, my parents are both still around, and that's who I go to. I don't have a business coach, although I do believe everyone should have one. But I have such an incredible support system around me. And like I said, I'm always learning. So I'll pick up the phone. I have created some relationships with certain people, like one publicist in particular. When I started the magazine, I researched the top publicist. I reached out to her, asked her if she'd be my mentor. We had a few phone calls. I would have no problem emailing her and saying, hey, what do you think about this, or so forth. So I ask a lot of questions. So I guess it's everyone in my world. Anybody I can to reach out to for support, I have no problem asking.
Was there ever reflecting back, a specific point in time, event, or key situation within your professional life that forced you to take a monumental shift within your business or career? And
Yes.
yes, right. Yeah.
Yes.
The result, positive or painful, how did going through that situation help you grow?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's actually something I touch on in the book. When I started in that career, I worked for, at the time, the largest plastic surgery, chain in the country. And I started there when they had 9 locations. I helped open over 30 plus locations across the country. I traveled 46 weeks out of the year. I had over 200 salespeople under me. I was just grinding like crazy. They decided to bring in a few new people, and my beliefs did not align with their beliefs in the direction that the company that they were taking the company. But the company felt like I was a part of it. We were a family. We were extremely close. And what's crazy is, even to this day, we're all still friends. We made these incredible bonds with all these people. But a crossroads came, and it was a really difficult decision for me whether or not I would stay and try to align with these people, or take a leap. And I just, at the end of the day, from an integrity standpoint, I could not get behind the direction they were going. And so I walked away from the big title and a lot of money and all those things, but I knew that it was the right decision. So it was very difficult emotionally. I remember the time I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this, but it was the best thing I ever did. And you got to take those leaps. If it doesn't, you got to trust your gut. And at the end of the day, I couldn't I couldn't in good conscience stay with people that I didn't believe in. And that wasn't fair for the company either, because I would never align with what their goals of the business were. And just side note, that company has since a few years after, closed its doors. At the one point, it was making $250 million a year. So
Mm.
that's just my little little something there.
Talk
Yeah.
about being true to yourself and, calculating those reasonable risk reward, but just hearing and getting to know you more, I suspect that, wearing your heart on your sleeve a little bit and staying true. And so aligning those values, if it wasn't going to work, it wasn't going to work.
Yeah. And at the time, and I was still young, and but I look back at it, and it was
Yeah.
the best decision I made. But
Yeah.
I couldn't share with all the employees and the people. I think everyone knew, but nobody really knew what was going on behind the scenes. A lot of stuff
Mhm.
that goes on. I don't think it goes on as much anymore. I think the tides have turned for women and different things, but I saw a lot of stuff that I just I wasn't comfortable with, and it made me have a bad taste. I think so many of us, especially as young professionals, are trying to climb the ladder. And I always say, I got to the top and I didn't like what I saw. I was going to do it myself, and I was going to do it my way, and treat people with respect and dignity, and do things that I felt good about. And and that's what I've done. And it's not always easy, because obviously we all you see the big companies and things, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. But I will say, I do think things have gotten better. I don't think there's probably as much shenanigans that goes on nowadays, but back in the day, mm,
Yeah. It
we
was
saw a lot,
Wild
especially for
West.
women. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
hardly any women sitting at the table, and
Right.
you'd look around, and it would just be. I always thought it was strange being at a company that was 95% of the patients were women, but yet we were sitting at a boardroom and there was only two females. Never made sense to me. Still doesn't.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you.
The
It's the movement, the movement. So
movement,
yeah.
yes.
Michelle, we're going to take a quick break, and I was going to say standard text here from this episode's sponsor, but perhaps I should take a cue from you and say from this episode's partner.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back.
Is it time to sell your home? Build that dream home? Right size? Or are you ready to invest in real estate? Couture Real Estate Firm is a local female-owned independent brokerage laser-focused on services exclusively tailored to our clients' real estate goals. With our forward-thinking business model, we have a fully mobile, luxury real estate concept allowing convenience, flexibility, efficiency for our clients in style. Amber Weitzer broker owner of Couture Real Estate Firm, has over 20 years in the real estate industry and is a second-generation broker. She provides straightforward business practices, integrity, and intelligence with a commitment to a high-touch, consistent customer service experience. We take great pride in our reputation as a strong, referral-based brokerage. Discretion, tenacity, respect, and proactive business practices have earned Couture Real Estate Firm a loyal, repeat client business with a trusted global partner network. We strive for ultimate client satisfaction with successful results, doing it with class, consciousness, and a little avant-garde. In addition to serving our clients and vendor partners, we are extremely honored to be actively engaged in supporting the communities we serve by promoting small businesses, schools, and nonprofits. Real estate is direct sales business at its core, and we are highly trained sales professionals with the Mike Ferry organization, adding dimension to the industry. Passionate about customer service, dedicated to client satisfaction, and driven to achieve successful results for our clients. Call Couture Real Estate Firm today at 817-233-7239 to discuss your real estate goals.
Okay, we are back. All right, Michelle, I'm watching the time, so I want to always respect schedules, but I want to squeeze a couple more questions in real quick, if I may.
Sure.
Cool. We all crave great resources that might help inspire, uplift, expand our minds, and like we say, sometimes just get us through the day. Of course, we know we have your book that we'll share all these links, the audience knows, in our resource section. So we have your book and definitely your magazine. You mentioned a mentor earlier, but do you have other resources that you'd like to share with us that are favorites to you?
Well, I mentioned before that I was big into like TED Talks. So I recommend everyone to find people to listen to some of those. But again, I'm even with books, I love reading. Like there's certain people I love. I love anybody motivational. I like podcasts like Lewis Holmes. Robin Roberts was on our cover, she wrote an incredible book called Brighter by the Day. I've got my copies here at my house, and those are great because there's just so many little nuggets, so many great takeaways. I'm a big fan of Tim Grover. He was Kobe Bryant's coach. I'm a big sports fan, so he wrote a book called Relentless: From Good to Great to Unstoppable. Like I just love soaking in any knowledge. But I would tell people find those people that are putting out positivity and follow them and listen to them. Fill your brain with all goodness.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you. All right, my lady, it has been amazing visiting with you today. And as we begin to wrap up, keeping the promise to share intentional inspiration with the audience, I guess I would say more from you. Do you have a piece of key go-to advice that you'd like to share that maybe you carry throughout your life or that resonates with you?
One of my favorite quotes is carve your name in hearts, not marble. And that in itself is kind of really the foundation of who I am and who I think where it makes a difference for success is building relationships. And I used to say for years, serve the patient and the revenue will follow, because it really is about serving others. How can I help you get a chance to really become a relationship builder? And once you're able to do that, everything else usually falls in place.
I love that. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, my lady, it has been a sheer joy and a pleasure visiting with you and allowing me to showcase a little bit more of you with our audience and sharing your silhouette of success. You have been a true light and inspiration. I want to give you the opportunity, please. Where can our audience go to find and connect with you or support you, either on your socials or any contact information in your continued success?
Thank you. Absolutely. And I feel the same. Thank you for this platform. You can go to askusbeautymagazine.com. That's our website, and it has all our social links on there. Instagram is Ask Us Beauty Magazine. You can join our Facebook community. It's Ask Us Beauty Community. we appreciate everyone's support. And we also have I will just say, you can nominate yourself or someone you know. We love featuring people. So you can go right to our website and nominate yourself or anyone out there that's educating, empowering, and inspiring. We'd love to hear from you.
Oh, what a treat. Okay, we will make sure and have that separate link on there. What a gift. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
All right, my lady. Again, it has been just, I'm filled with joy. My cheeks hurt from smiling ear to ear. And thank you for taking some time and sharing your silhouette of success with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at thesilhouettesofsuccess.com or connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We're grateful that you've tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success.